No stinger necessary with that intro.
Is that new?
Yeah. Our
Very
dude Nate.
nice.
By the way, if we haven't said this, Nate crushed that intro, huh, Fern?
Yeah, we asked him, like, hey, can you put just nothing but B-roll of Denise? And he turned us down. He turned us down.
It was a good call.
Nate, he knows what he's doing. He's a creative. He's like, I don't think that's going to go over well.
He's got vision. He's got vision.
He does have vision. He did that one. He did our progression intro. I'm sure. Farron, when does your show start this week?
No, tentatively. Cody, come off hiding real quick. I don't know. We're just going to call it hiding real quick. Can we tentatively announce a seven? What did we say? The 17th?
The 17th. That's what we said.
Yeah, we are going to be dropping the affiliate hot seat series on the 17th. So if you're interested, number one, first, we're not accepting your questions. Denise, I'm happy to give you feedback on your affiliate.
Thank you.
Number one, I'm not answering your questions unless you subscribe to the show. Okay. But number two, if you are interested, reach out to us. We'll have kind of the formal submission process for coming on the show, and we'll help you out with your box. So. Cool. Bye, Cody.
Oh, he's gone.
Get out of here. Back to hiding. All right. Hey, we got Denise Thomas. Is this would you say in all of CrossFit, you are CFL4? Is this your lane? Is this your area of expertise?
I think as far as expertise goes, if I had to pick something, I would say this would be up there. Yeah.
Well,
I think of all the things,
I would say, A, you're good at all the things. B, I would say it's one of the things that you're maybe over the top passionate about coach development, which is not a bad thing, but that is something that you're super crazy about. And then right second behind that would probably be lesson plans, but a very close second.
Yeah, and I hesitate to say expert because you know what comes with being an expert, but I think I've got a lot of experience.
Actually, neither one of us actually know what comes with being an expert.
I had no idea.
We're not experts at anything. So
that was a test.
Do tell.
Yeah, so experience in doing them wrong, like having a good day and then having a bad day and going too far one way and then not going enough. And, so yeah, been around the block with the old lesson planning, let's put it that way, to the point where it's been a paralysis.
Question.
How many of you say you've written over the years?
Oh, gosh.
Similar question.
Very many. Very many. That's a real sentence. Very many.
Very many.
Well, I do one for every class.
Would that be a redundant statement? Is that what those
very many?
Very many.
It's just
very. No, it's just that means a lot of many. It's a lot of many.
Yeah. Well, you figure
it's a lot.
You figure I'm coaching. Let's just say twice a day, 3 times a day for 10 years. That's a lot.
But you write a unique lesson plan for each class?
Each day. Workout. So, and then I'll tweak it depending on the level, like for the nooner at Reebok, it might be a little different for like the 4:30. We get some newer people, but it would be like just more of the same thing with just a little bit more expedited things for the more experienced folks. But yeah, I do. I really do. Actually, last week I didn't write one for one of my classes, and it was one of the better classes I'd run in a while because I just kind of free flowed. But I just got away with it.
That's a good topic for discussion, which we can get into. I do think there's a time and a place for that.
Mm-hmm.
But
let's hear it. Let's do it. When's the time and a place to not write a lesson?
Well, think like very generally speaking, I would throw this in the bucket of like variance, right? Like there's value in being able to number one, I think you should be able to do both really effectively. I think you should be able to walk in blind and do it on the fly. And I think you should be able to sit down and write a very thorough lesson plan that then you could go out and execute as written. That's the kind of stipulation on that second one. But I think the takeaway, I forget, I might've been having this conversation with Marcus yesterday. Just forget what we were talking about, but going back to like the volume, those are typically like bitch sessions. We both complain. No, we were talking about just getting reps in, and going back to what you said, Denise, like there's only one way to get good at lesson plans, and you have to get the reps. And I was thinking yesterday about how many classes would you say that you've coached, DT? Like, just give it a guess.
It's got to be over 10,000. I mean,
over 10,000.
Okay. Yeah, it has to be in 15 years for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, you're probably right. I have no idea. I know if I was to guess, I would probably guess something between 7,500 to 10,000,
something like that. Hey, I got to highball it a little,
Right. Yeah. We're gonna err on the side of 15.
On what you're talking about, Fern, and going to DT. If you get so accustomed to writing lesson plans and following a plan, could that become a crutch?
That's where I was going with that. I think you should be able to do both. And I think it's interesting that you was at like meaning Denise, that like, did you just think it was better, or like, why did you think it was better?
It might not have been better. Like if you were there evaluating me, you might have said, oh no. But to me, it felt freeing, because I was going off the things, when you write in a specific portion, for me at least, I look at the workout and I'm thinking safety performance strategy. That's how I'm deciding how to put my progressions together and what the practice round is going to look like. And I didn't really have a time to think about that in too much detail. So I just used my knowledge. I was like, okay, well, I don't want spines rounded, and I want them to make sure they get tall at the top and land with their hips back. And so I just taught to that and used the progression that I knew would get that result. But I did a class last week. Oh, no, this week actually. And I was like questioning myself as a coach. I'm like, why did that not go as well? It was a short workout. I felt like I was hustling the whole time. And it's because I overdid it. I put too much on the plan. In fact, I could show you what it looked like. And in my mind, I'm like, oh, this is great. This is so clear. And then when I got there, I was like, this is too much. Not for me. Like I could say all the things, but for them to do it and actually focus on it. So I don't know why. Oh, I can't show you. I'm sorry. My laptop's dead. Let me plug it in.
Well, it just brings up probably like a valuable point, which is it would probably be safe to say that if you've gotten enough reps in, there does potentially become a point of diminishing return with regard to the amount of time you put into a lesson plan once you have a specific skill set. Because I don't really write lesson plans anymore. Now I can write one and I can execute one, but I don't really like it because to some degree, I feel beholden, and I feel, for me personally, I definitely recommend people write lesson plans. I think there's a place, because I feel like I focus less on the participants in the class than I do to some degree be like, all right, I got a timestamp, so I got to hit. And I feel like it potentially you run the risk of like lack of connection. That's not an argument for not writing lesson plans. I'm just saying, like, Jay, I do believe there's a certain skill set.
It's a good point. And here's my take on that. I think lesson plans are really important for all the obvious reasons. When you got to move on, not indulging, making sure that you're adding value, you're taking care of business. But when you get to a certain point, at least for me, and you won't experience this because you're at your affiliate all the time, you might get a taste of it if you went and coached at another affiliate and at the level 2 when we do the day 2 example class.
Right.
But even then, it's just a standalone class and anyone can bring it for like a day. What I'm finding out right now, it's really testing me as a coach, because I told you I was at Reebok for a very long time, got real comfortable. Everyone did what we wanted. It was fantastic. Went to a new gym, had to get to know the members again, a smaller space, big classes, different kinds of workouts. But I was there every day, coaching 2 classes a day. So over 6, 7, 8 months, it took me a while to get comfortable with them. And now I'm at a new gym, a little bit of a bigger space, similar class size, a little smaller, but I'm only there right now twice a week. So I don't get to see them all week. So the journey of getting comfortable and knowing how long things take is a lot different. And back to what you were talking about, when you get to a level, I think that we're all at, where we've done a lot of things, it becomes more about not more, because it's always about, but there's people in my class that I know 2 days ago I didn't scale correctly. I was like, I messed that up. I did not go over to that person and say, you should probably do less reps in this movement, which is so not like me. And so I looked at my plan and I recognized, yes.
That's where I was going to go. Like,
so
do you know
this
why?
Is my plan. Yeah. I've got a fancy iPad now, right?
Wow.
Oh, God.
Is
that a schematic?
That's like an artwork. I want to hang that on my wall.
This is I'm gonna let you in a little secret here, Denise. This is no way to make friends because you've just made the entire internet feel like a bunch of schlubs.
We get a screenshot of that to add to our social media.
You can, but here's the thing. It looks pretty, and this is what I'm saying about lesson plans. It looks great. But in here, I put a couple of things about scaling, and I don't think I gave enough attention to scaling and when I was going to do that. And I know I have my thing. It's demo, do some progressions practice the thing at like some more speed weight, and then scale. Like that's my formula. And I didn't do it. So that therefore this plan might look great, but it failed me when I came to the floor, you know?
So that would probably be like the overarching, it's like fitness, right? Like what's the goal? Like increase work capacity across broad time and little domains, like the end, right? Like however you get there, if your weights are getting heavier, getting more rounds, great, then you're doing it right. And I think lesson plans is, and this is kind of what we lead with kind of level 1 and level 2, which is like, it is only as valuable as your ability to implement it and get people to move better inside of the stimulus. Like that's it, right? It could be 3 bullet points on a piece of paper, or it could be that beautifully crafted Mona Lisa that you just showed the whole world. But at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is what happens on the floor. That's it.
And the other part to that is, again, if we come back to how often are they in the gym? Well, it could be, they meaning the members, it could be 4 or 5 days a week. Hopefully it is. But if you're doing true variance, you're not going to see certain movements like often within a week, right? So we teach them a lot. Let's say you're coaching 4 classes a day. You've taught the clean 4 times, but those members have only experienced it once for 10 minutes. And then they might not see it again through another 10 days. So why making things more elaborate? Back to your point, Jay, who's that for? Is that for us, or is it for them? Because I know I need to get my members to pull their knees back a little more in the clean and keep the bar close to their hips and get tall, versus doing 8 progressions on all these things. Can I just say deadlift, shrug, and then coach them up on keeping the knees back and getting the bar up? So it's again, just like less is more. And
that's just like you're reading my mind. I was actually going to ask you that question. It's like we're finishing each other's.
We're very connected, me and you, Jay. I don't know about the other one.
No,
you and I.
Yeah, we're definitely not connected on
I don't know if
one.
anyone's
just these two, whatever. Like I don't know which direction you're at, but like we're connected.
No one has ever claimed to connect.
Actually, that's the incorrect. I'm connected to him, and I don't want to be. I want to be connected to you.
Yeah, actually, yeah. There's good connection, bad connection. I've had
cut the cord.
It's kind of like my camera right now. It's a little blurry.
I'm actually gonna remove Jay, and this is much better this
Jay,
way.
It's a sign. It's a sign. Someone translates.
No, I was actually going to ask you that exact question, and I actually, and the reason I was kind of thinking about this recently is like we're kind of implementing new programming at the box, right? With like how we write it, and it's fun, right? It's really cool for me to get back into programming, but it's forcing everybody to like tighten the reins and really dial in their lesson plan, their logistics. But it brought up a question for me. I was like, am I getting lazy, or am I just doing less because I have gotten to the point where I understand that less is more? But it's like, or am I just lazy? Do I just not want to write a lesson plan? But I do find myself at least, and then evaluating coaches, I'm like, especially with things we change, I'm like, you got to do less. That doesn't mean you coach less, right? It just means like the volume of things you need to do inside the hour needs to be reduced pretty drastically. Like the word count needs to be condensed quite significantly. Have either one of you read Talk Like Ted?
Like as in the TED Talks?
Yeah, there's a book called Talk Like Ted, and they talk about there's a very specific anatomy for TED Talks, at least the most successful ones. Like I don't remember what the word count is, but there's a very specific word count in the most watched TED Talks ever. And it's like, it's a tight range too. I'm
going back to what you said, for a fernism, 2 things can be true at once, right? You probably don't need to write a lesson plan, and you probably are being a little lazy about it, right? Like, and I think probably what we're saying is when I'm hearing this, it's, should we have I write mine similar to DT with a line across, and I'd be like, cool, this is where I should run my general, specific, start the workout. Like, I need those checkpoints done. That makes a good class. And I can fill in the specific portion if we're doing a snatch versus a muscle up, versus a clean, because we've done it thousands of times. Right. So I think you should still have that skeleton. We talk about it in our curriculum, things like drop dead start times, etc. So I think, do you need to write it the way DT's was written? Probably not. But should we still have an idea of our checkpoints throughout class? I think that's always hard to come in with.
This is, I feel like this is kind of like the that specific topic, and I'd love to hear both of your thoughts on it. But like, I think about that, like, how could we put this in CrossFit speak? And it's just like, well, how much of the 10 general physical skills that we want? Only enough to get us fitter. And I'm like, well, how much time and effort do I want to put into the lesson plan? Only as much that would make the class more effective.
Isn't that really life though? Right? Couldn't you apply that to everything? Like, how much of anything do we need? Well, enough to make life better.
Is that for me, Nick?
Hey, what do you think about that? Are you writing that down right now, actually? Are you adding that to your Flowmaster introduction at level 1? Hey guys, we're here at the level 1. I want to quote Jason Ackerman. How much of anything do we need?
You read my mind. I write down all the things you say, Jay.
I don't.
Do not say this ever. Do not say this ever.
So I won't pull this back up. Do your other coaches still write lesson plans, or is it just you? It's probably a mix of both. I know Cassidy doesn't write a ton. I know Lindsay's
Cassidy
more
does
like
the programming, right?
Well, not solely anymore. That's a combo between Cassidy and Jared and I now, because of the way we're writing the workouts. Lindsay still writes them very similar to like how you do, Denise. Like, she's very in the book, and then all of my new coaches write them because I see them.
Mandatory?
The book. No, because we've kind of like we've really emphasized, like, if you want to get good at this, like, you're gonna need this skill set. And at some point you can put it away, and then I'm just gonna evaluate you for, is this an effective class? But again, it's one of those things like, look, I don't necessarily need to see it, but you need to be able to do it, is the way I look at it. And because if your class is all jacked up, I'm gonna be like, why?
Right. If you don't want to do it, your class needs to reflect that. If your class was a hot mess, we're going to come back to, you probably need to write up lesson plans.
Yeah. If you're crushing and I'm like, we can have the discussion and I give you some feedback and it's like, hey, change this, change that. Does that require a lesson plan? Arguably no. But in those instances, like Denise, like, I know, like, again, same thing. Like, you didn't write a lesson plan for that class. And it's just like, is that a bad class? No. But I know that if I asked you to, if I asked you to write one, you'd give me one, and you'd give me one in very short order, and it would be very well written, and it would be realistic.
And it wasn't, I didn't not have a plan. I just didn't write it down. So I knew, like, to Jay's point, I got to know when my hard starts are. I have to know when I need to get off the whiteboard. And there needs to be time for cool downs. But I think the question about lesson plans and anything is, to what extent, what is, I know the difficulty describes the need to do it, right? We say that about your squat, but I think, why are you writing lesson plans? That, for me, that my why, I think I told you I may have said it on this UK affiliate one. I wrote them because I needed them. I needed to know what I was going to do, and I needed to be able to take care of people. And I needed to know, like, how long I was going to spend on things. And then I provided that resource to the community because I'm thinking maybe other people might want that. That I always have a why. Right now, why do I write them? I write them, well, one, I enjoy it. I really enjoy the art of putting something down and really thinking about why I'm doing something. When I know my why, it brings more purpose. I'm more passionate. There's more energy. But I wouldn't say I necessarily need to write them, even for timestamps, because you can quickly go backwards and be like, this is the hard stamp.
Yeah, that's easy.
For me, it goes back to taking care of people. Right now, I don't know everybody. I need to look at the thing and say, oh, Evan's coming in. I know he's got X, and Eli can't use his right arm at all right now. What am I going to do for him? So I think people sometimes neglect that thought of, like, the lesson plan isn't just timeline and progressions.
These are works of art.
They really are.
This is going to be like the Mona Lisa one day. People are going to come from everywhere.
We're going to put these in an art gallery. Dude, you know what you should do, DT? This would actually be great. When you move, DT, when you join Affiliate U and you move out of your basement and you have your affiliate.
Yes, you can stay in your basement, for the record, if you join Affiliate U.
and let people in for free.
That's true too. No, that's Poor business practice. But this is, I'm actually not joking about this. I saw this at the kind of like the HQ for a training think tank. They have something similar, but you should take all of these lesson plans and then drop them into a pattern for wallpaper in an office. That would be dope.
We'll hang that right here.
You'd be like,
right up here.
It'd be like a beautiful mind. Be like, oh,
yeah, you'd be like, whoa,
was that a spoiler?
You're like, hey, did you write a lesson plan? No, I have 468 right here on the wall.
Was that a spoiler? What's that picture right there, DT? Oh, no, not that one. The one of DT, yeah.
Oh, that's when I joined ComTrain, CFNE.
And also, what are you at Marshfield now?
I was helping out at Marshfield once a week. It's a little far for me right now, but I love that gym. I love those people. Joe Macy's
awesome,
gym.
Yep. What box you at now?
Now I'm at One Nation, Austin's old gym. My friend Sam Horenstein bought it with Josh
Sam and
Erica,
yeah.
So I coach that, and I love it. And they're a hoot. But that's what it is. I need to write on this lesson plan logistics, like equipment, spacing, things that at Reebok, and even New England. After a while, I'd just be like, that's going there, that's going there, that's going there. And I'm not there now. So a lot of it's just more like the transitions and where I lose time and less about the scene and correcting.
Okay, that's actually a great kind of segue there, because I think what the things that you include in your lesson plan will morph over time. So like you're outlining things that I know our coaches are spending more time on now, meaning like logistics. Again, going back to like the way we're writing the programming, where the logistics now becomes, if I don't think about it, the logistics becomes the real hang up in
this guys. Look what you guys are doing.
Lesson plan lecture at level 2 teaches has been the single biggest improvement in my coaching. Tank Top Todd, buddy.
Tank Top Todd.
You guys.
He didn't mention you, Jay. Sorry.
I think there's a typo. I think there's
no, that's great.
There,
no. So Todd is at CrossFit Takeover, which is Sarah and
Cabo,
Kristen's home gym. Yeah.
Courtney.
Good coach, dude. And
I would ask, if you get a chance, Fern, ask. I'm always interested why they like the lesson plan Instagram that I have, because I want to do more of that. Why do you guys like it? Is it the lesson plan itself? Is it stealing ideas? Is it the little write-ups that I do?
Let's.
I'm interested. I'd like to know, because I want to keep doing it. But you get caught in your little basement of glory down there, and
why don't you you write one every day? Why don't you just put it up?
I don't write one every day. I write one for every class.
Every class. But every class you coach, you have an easy. That was. We were joking. That's a nice looking lesson plan. How long did that take? How long does that take?
It was not long, honestly. I kept it pretty. It looks a lot, but I kept it pretty simple. But
she got the layout. Hold that up for.
Look at all the pens at the top.
It looks like that's not simple. Just so they're all on the same.
She got the layout of the class.
That is quite literally the opposite of simple
artwork. It really is.
Facing burpees, and I'm like, how are we gonna do this? It was
the first comment Joby's ever made. That's not a dig
Joby.
at me.
A shot at you, yeah, right here.
I love Joby.
You don't know Joby, do you?
I do know Joby. He texted me. Joby, I got
You did a CDP with him, right?
He did. He came and stayed at my house. We did.
His partner Tanya is much cooler than he is.
They're a good team. Joby's
but
awesome.
She's really the workhorse behind. Like she smiled.
One. She smiled Joby, last week.
Yeah, she did smile. It was weird for a moment. But Tanya's
no.
awesome.
But back to the Instagram. I don't put them all up. The reason why I don't put them all up is because, and it's the thing, I want to write something in the caption, and sometimes I don't always know what I want to say, and then I end up not saying anything, which is a lot of things. But I'll just throw them up there if people are not interested in.
We have an answer up here.
What is it? DT lesson plans? Can you drop the link in the chat, Cody, please? Steal ideas, use method. Jeremy's laughing. It's the info underneath. I think it's easy for us.
The nerd side? Oh, yeah, we're nerds for sure. It's the info underneath.
This is good, valuable.
I think it's easy for us to get focused on the timeline and the points of performance.
That we can forget guys,
nuances like logistics.
We have a list of questions we're supposed to get to. I'm surprised Cody's not yelled at us yet, but Cody gave us a whole list of topics and questions we're supposed to get to. We've not touched any of them.
Let's do it.
All right, let's go. Rapid fire.
The show is almost over, Cody. We will get to these. First question, first topic. Is it okay to have the same warm-up each day if it is effective?
Is it okay to have the same warm-up every day if it's effective? Well, the first question is, it's only not okay if it's not okay, right? I mean, if it's not broke,
very many.
Write that down.
It's not broke.
Very,
why are you fixing
very
it?
many. It was very many.
Here's the deal. Just give me the facts.
Oh, I was like, they didn't even warn me.
Cody's coming in hot on the.
Cody's hot. So that, first of all, you have to ask, well, what do you mean by effective? Because when we use that word, I'm wondering what that means. And the next question I would have is, well, what are the cons of running something every day? And what are the benefits? And the benefits are, there's a lot of them. There's consistency, there's reliability, there's trust, there's, hoping they're hitting all the macro joints and movements and getting the heart rate up. I mean, it's hitting everything. And if people are happy and they're coming back, then great. I mean, there's a lot of benefits for doing the same thing. However, I think there's even more, if not more cons, and it could be a missed opportunity for exposure to other things. It could get boring. It could not actually warm you up enough for what you're about to do in the specific. So I think I don't like to give a black and white answer, but I do think you have to ask yourself, why would you do it? And what's stopping you from changing it? Because if it's comfortability and, complacency, then, it's just easy. Then I challenge you to, I have a lesson planning course right now, and we just talked about general warm-ups and all the formats you can use in general warm-ups. And there's so many that you can play around with. So I
think you should change it for this reason, right? Not because I have somewhere to finish, you have to change it, because I think keeping it the same limits your ability to broaden your skill set with regard to coaching, right? So if I change the warm up every day and I'm doing, let's just say if the fixed warm up was, I don't know, on the high end, 8 movements, eight things that we're doing in the warm up, versus switching it up day after day after day to make it a little bit more applicable to whatever we're doing that day. Now we're talking infinite, but let's just say well over 100 different movement patterns that I'm going to see. And the reason I think that's important is it's the easiest place to be able to take your time to start practicing seeing and correcting with not under duress. And I think a lot of people overlook that. And this is like when I've run CDPs at my gym, like Josh's Melendez has been back up to you, but he did one with me as well. And that was one of the things that he and I talked about. And I was like, hey, you cannot overlook the opportunity, like during a general warm up, which is, kind of mundane in a lot of, scenarios, but like you should still be seeing and correcting. And it's so easy to like practice one thing, be like, hey, I'm going to practice visual cues right now. Like I'm not in any sort of time constraint. Everybody's kind of moving leisurely. Let me practice and see if I can see lack of hip extension, or, what is this person doing with that active shoulder position, or internal, external rotation, depending on what you've got dialed up for the warm-up. I think it's an often overlooked opportunity to practice, but do it real time. And that's why I think you should change it every day, because you can see infinite number of movements in there and practice things that you wouldn't otherwise get to see if it was the same every day. Not to say that the same every day doesn't have benefits, like you said, but I think that I agree with you. I think the downside is significantly
well, it's also context. It's context,
higher, whatever.
So I agree with you. Exposure for the athlete, exposure for the coach. But let's pull back and say, hey, you're a new affiliate. You're not been coaching very often, and you're still getting used to instructing, teaching, seeing, correcting. We're going to do the CrossFit warm up for week 1. Every day we'll just do the CrossFit warm up. I don't think you should do the same thing every day, but I can see a benefit in doing it. But there's only a few, which is why I would do. I think there's more cons to doing it than there are pros. But it could also be an exercise for your gym. It could be something for the members. It could be a chat. Like there's so many variables and context to it, or situations. But if you're just asking me, hey, is there anything wrong with it? No, there's nothing wrong with it. But I don't.
Unless it doesn't work.
Unless
it's not effective.
Unless it's wrong.
Right.
Unless it's effective. Yeah. So what is effective? And it goes back to, well, what is the general warm up for? All the things we said, range of motion, heart rate, prime the system, assessment, capacity, and your coaching eye.
I do agree with Todd here on this last comment too, by the way. I didn't bring it up, but that was probably, if you were to ask me, like, really, like, what's your number one reason? I do believe that it creates complacency, because I think if it's autopilot, everybody just mails it in. Like, and not because you're a bad person. I think that's just inevitably what happens as a coach. I think we would all fall prey to just going on autopilot and not like stretching ourselves if I did the same thing every day.
Mm-hmm.
Cody never just hopped on, so Cody has something to say.
Yeah, Cody, chime in here.
You're
He's
muted.
on
Damn
it, Cody. Damn it.
Jay muted him.
I wanted to give some more context to that question. The question really comes from listening to Boz and Sherwood on one of the most recent episodes. They were talking about proper ways to warm up and cool down. And the question was asked, what about warm-ups? And Boz was going on to say, I think that people largely overthink them or neglect them. In their context, they're speaking to like an individual who just needs to get in the gym. They need to warm up and they need to start working. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to ask the question in the context of running a class inside an affiliate.
Yeah, and I watch that. I watch all their stuff. I think they're great. And I think I actually stole something from Boz a very, very long time ago with these graduated warm-ups of doing something monostructural, doing something else, coming back, going a little faster on it, progressively making the thing harder across a series of rounds. But I think they're talking like the garage basement gym kind of thing.
Well, and as you say that, I train in my basement every morning. The first thing I do is sit on the C2 for 5 minutes. I have the damper at 0. If it was lower than 0, I would put it there. But it's like, it gets me moving, and it gets me like, it's almost like comfortability, right? I'm just like, cool. By the end of 5 minutes, I'm actually feeling better to go do something. Like, I still need to warm up, but that's at least, the consistency of it is important. Mm-hmm. And so,
that could be applied, but that's I don't want that to be overlooked. So this, but that's important.
Or what I said.
No, I'm talking about what you said, and I don't think that should be overlooked, because the context of what you just said is a scenario in which I would argue there is a place that you should be adjusting lesson plans for classes, meaning like the 6 a.m. is different than the noon.
Right, because I'm training at 6 in the morning, like barely awake, right? And I'm like, it's just getting me moving, right? And I think, but going back to what DT said, like, if your members come in, like, cool, we always kind of get on this thing and it gets us going. Like, there is something nice about that. Now, should we always do that?
Meaning starting with monostructural?
Well, yeah, whether it's starting with monostructural, like, hey guys, we come in, we always do 50 jumping jacks. It's whatever that looks like. But there is like that, okay, for me, it's more like I shut my brain off. Like, I put myself on autopilot by sitting on that bike. Like, I literally usually have like some pre-workout. I just start sipping it. I find a station on the radio that I start listening to. And I'm like, before I realize it, I'm like, okay, I'm in this thing now. But if you were just like, hey, go get a barbell at 6 in the morning, like, no, fuck that. At 6:05, I could do it. So
I would argue at any point of day, if you just asked me to grab a barbell, I'd be like, I'm not participating in this class anymore.
So 2 things. I think this is a great opportunity to bring up the question that you had asked, or somebody had sent you, DT.
About fun warm-ups?
Yes. So somebody had said, what are the fun ways to warm up a class that aren't traditional? And then I see Omar's question, and we'll work that in as well.
Fun ways to warm up a class so traditional is, I guess they're saying,
I would imagine this is a pizza game. This is hot potato. This is, the stick game, etc.
Yeah, but there's games, right, which should come with a black label warning, because adults should not be sprinting first thing. Anyway,
that's why I'm just like,
it's
games give me like the games get me a little cringy.
But something fun could also be, get them on the bike, right? We said get them on a bike, and they start at dampener 1 seated, and then they go to dampener 0, and then they go to dampener 2, dampener 4, dampener 6, dampener 8, dampener 10. They go all the way up, and they have to stay seated, and it's just like 20 seconds a pop, and then you can stand them up and sit them down, and there's just ways to tweak the traditional things that we do. Putting on even a rep scheme like a 2159 of an overhead squat and a a PVC press. Things don't need to be silly, but you can have some different ways of doing the traditional things, but with a different seasoning.
Very, very simple. Somebody asked this question not too long ago. It was about like, we have like when we give our people that we work with, or like give them like what we call the ideal class experience. It's like a checklist. It's how you would evaluate a class. And for each portion, it's just like, was there a social element? And we always give like people give questions like, what do you mean by social element? I mean, very simply, in this section, and this is not an all the time thing, but I think this does check the box for like fun. Did you design something that was intended for members to interact with each other, right? That's not silly, right? So like med ball tosses is one, not like stupid med ball tosses, but like rotational tosses, or some sort of talking warm up where they're going back and forth, or any of the rowing games, like I could put people on the rower and they, like the goal is 100, but then you pass your burpees on to somebody else, right? You don't get them, like you get to give them to somebody else and just like see what people do with each other. So it doesn't have to be silly, but I think fun contextually just means like, oh, I get to interact with another human being. Yeah. So like you can dial up something very simple that all of a sudden becomes fun because I'm doing it with another person, where normally we're kind of in our own world in a class doing the thing. And that very subtle twist changes the entire environment, because what inevitably will accompany that is 100% of the time, I'll be Jason Ackerman here, like only always, you will get to check another box. You will check another box in that assessment, which is, was there laughter in the class? And the second you pair people up, they become toddlers, right? There's going to be some sort of inappropriate joke, or just like something's going to get out of hand very quickly. And I'm like, that's great. That's what I want, within reason. So I think that's a very simple way to make things fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I don't like games for warm-ups, for the record.
Well, you're not fun.
I'm not fun. And I also don't like games for the warm-up, because they don't actually, if I go to a class for an hour.
Well, Jay, first of all, what are you defining as games?
What's a game?
Good question. The stick game, the stupid pizza game with the ab mat, things like that.
With context, like anything that would likely result in an injury of some sort.
Well, it's an injury. They don't actually warm you up. And I think, CrossFit, we talk about coaching, and it's like, I envision it, it's like practice, right? Like once in a blue moon, wrestling coach would be like, we're going to play a game at the end for 20. It would be like, we got a match coming up. You got to sweat, and ultimately somebody would get hurt also during these games. Like you said, it's like,
but if you're going to do it, you brought up something very specific there, which is like at the end, right? Why is that okay now? Everybody's warmed up. Like people are ready to move.
Warmed up. He knows like mentally we're checked out. Like we got a match we're thinking about. We'd put 2 garbage cans at the end and like throw the ball. Meanwhile, we're killing each other, right? It's not a game. It's like life and death in that wrestling room. But the point is, like, if I show up to the 6 a.m., I don't want to play the stupid stick game or pizza game. Like, I want to get warmed up to do this athletic endeavor. And you're wasting my time. That's how it feels to me. What do you think?
Well, first of all, it's not about you. So let's just put that out there. But it's a little bit about you.
We can end the show right there, everybody.
As much as it's not about you, but it's a little about you. Meaning we're considering all these things when we're programming a game. And I actually like what Fern said about it being more of an interaction. Of course I did. We're connected. Yeah. But more of the interaction. And it's not really, we shouldn't even maybe call it a warm-up, because it's probably not that, to your point, Jay. However, if you're doing the stupid pizza game, quote Jason Ackerman, you're definitely getting your heart rate up and your blood flowing. You're just not taking your joints through full range of motion. However, if you play my pizza game, there'll be a lot of range of motion. So that's next level. But I agree with you. I think that I don't even know if the word game needs to be said. It's like, hey, let's have some fun. Let's like,
otherwise it's just pizza then.
It's just pizza. We're playing pizza. Pizza fun. But I think just looking at your class, looking at your space, looking at your equipment, and being like, okay, what might be a little bit of fun today for 10 minutes? Like, I have a bit of time in my class, because again, it comes back to the length of the workout, what needs to happen, where's the priority, and do I have time for a game or an interaction or a fun? And sometimes you do, and sometimes you don't. Maybe a Thursday is a good day to do something more.
One thing
interactive.
I do think a fun game for those of you watching. This is also end of class. You put 2 assault bikes or echo bikes.
Foam roller,
tug of war, whatever you want to call it. Like, because that's like you're actually working hard with a purpose. And it's not about winning or losing. Like the pizza game.
Explain to everybody that actual setup.
So you have
because people are like, "What do you mean? What do you do? You have a foam rolling on the assault bike?
You do with echo bikes?
You can do it with either one.
Yeah, okay.
You can do it. It's
any fan bike.
Any fan bike. It doesn't matter.
You set them, I would say, probably about 8 feet apart, but facing one another, so that one person's directly across, and you put a foam roller in between them, and you have to go till the point that you drive the foam roller to the other person's bike. So obviously,
there's a strategy there.
Is there a strategy?
It's a trap too, because that is a full-blown workout. I mean, you're doing.
Right.
Oh yeah,
you're dead after that,
and that's what I love.
Stay away from that trap.
I see it. I heard it on that one. I get it.
So I guess what we're saying is it's not bad to have them make sure they have a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
You can argue the stick game, it gives you a little agility in there.
And they're not all the time, right? That's the big thing. It should be all the time. Like, it should be like if you had planned for a game and then you walk into the class and the vibe you're getting is a no vibe or is a no game vibe, don't run the game. Like, just move on.
5 a.m. maybe no game, 9 a.m. game. Right?
Jay Ackerman, I will say we had a game at Reebok that Connor and I invented, and I have to share it with you because it was my favoriteest game to this day. Well, Reebok was pretty big, so we had a lot of space. We had a lot of mats.
That's an understatement.
It was huge. And so we took the mats and we put them upright, and we made like a big coliseum, like a big circle. And we had like maybe 20 plus people that day. And we had some people that were trickling in for the next class, or they were coming out of the last class. We got a bunch of people in the coliseum, and they had like dodgeballs, and there was some light med balls and like tennis balls. And then we had everybody else on the outside of the Coliseum. And then 3, 2, 1, go. And it was just this mad throw things out, and they have to throw them in. And you're in the Coliseum and you don't know when it's coming. You're just like moving. And we do it. It was so scary if you were in there. And then at the end, we'd see who had the most objects either in the Coliseum or out the Coliseum. And that was fun. And last one.
You've just caused so many lawsuits inside the affiliate.
So many cervical spine
20 medicine ball flying in.
Yeah. But the last one, I'll tell you this because you'll appreciate this, and then I guess we should move on. But we had a cargo net at Reebok, and it hung from the ceiling, and we were playing a game, and I don't always think things through. So I was like, all right, we're going to play a game. When I stop the music, you have to get off the floor, and it doesn't matter how you do it. You can hang on a bar, you can jump on a box, you can jump on someone else, get on bumper plates. I don't care. Playing the music stops. And it just so happened like 15 people were by the cargo net. All of them jumped on the cargo net. And Austin, running up, get off the net, get off the net. And I was like, oh my God.
With his unusually long arms.
Yeah, just like, but thank God it didn't fall down, but that could have been very bad, but a lot of fun. See,
cargo nets are underutilized. I used to have one at Albany CrossFit. It was great for rope climb days. People can feel like they're doing rope climbs. Hey, bring up Omar's question because let's bring it back to lesson plans. We're kind of in the beginning of class, right? It's warming up. Omar had asked, do you count for late athletes in your lesson plan?
Oh yeah, always, but not in the way you would think. I mean, we've definitely done the 20 burpees for being late, as in you're punished. We've also done 20 burpees for being late just because it'll get you warm quick and move your body. And then we try to just have something ready to go when they come in so that they can quickly do it by themselves. So they're not just jumping in and hopping on a barbell. But at Reebok, at least, they were coming from meetings that were ending like at the time class was starting. And we first, we had a chip on our shoulder about it. And then we recognized they were like hauling to get down there, and we just made sure we accounted for it by taking care of them, having something ready to go, but never punishing people for coming late unless we know And even then, it's not a punishment. It's a harsh conversation. Unless we know they're taking liberties and they're just doing it.
How do you know that?
Conversate. I just ask. I would ask over time, but not ask the question that day. Just be like, "Hey, what do you do for a living? You know, like where do you live? You know,
Wait, that's where you do it. It's a trap.
I don't do anything.
It's a trap. It's a trap.
DT's asking what I do for a living. What did I do?
Yeah, because what I'm really asking is, what is stopping you from getting here on time without asking you, why are you not here on time?
That's level 4. I mean, that's level 4. We're talking privately, Renee, now DT, since we're the only level 4s. But this is, that's level 4 coaching. I mean, and also like kids, like, hey, do you got kids? Like if someone's like, I got 2 kids, I'm like, all right, do whatever the fuck you want. Like, whatever.
Show up for the cool down.
Your life. Cody, do we have a sponsor today?
It's a trap.
It's a trap.
We have a sponsor for him.
Did we answer his question?
He answered.
Yes, I think you did. And the answer to that is like, do what you can to get them prepared for the workout, right? It's not, you don't have to have a whole separate warm up, but just like the easy one is just like, hey, they should walk in 5-7 minutes late. You're kind of maybe moving from general to specific warm up. It's like, hey, DT, go hop on the bike for like 4 minutes. Then from there, I'm going to get you warmed up when everybody else is loading their barbells and make sure you're ready to go.
This is where it would be great to have hey, if you're late, this is your warm up. It's 3 rounds of 5, 10, 15.
Right.
You know, that kind of thing.
All right. We're going to get back to Brad's question right after a word from our sponsor. Hey guys, real quick. We just wanted to share a video from one of our amazing Affiliate U clients. Fern and I, along with the Best Hour team, have been able to help hundreds of affiliate owners and thousands of coaches level up and create successful businesses. And stories like this are the reason why we do it.
My name is Kate Schultz, and I am the owner of CrossFit ELC. In January of 2022, we started really looking for mentorship within our business. The adversity that COVID had created, what we were doing before couldn't withstand that adversity. We were winging it. And as Fern would say, passion has a shelf life. And we felt that at CrossFit ELC. And our passion was still there, but it was dwindling because we didn't have systems. We didn't have the other side of that scale of we are passionate and we love helping people. And this is how we do that. We were missing that piece. That's where Affiliate U came in and really changed the game for us. We were burnt out as coaches. I am a young mom, so I have two kids under 2, and running an affiliate and managing coaches and members and all of that. I had no systems in place to set me up for success in that, and I didn't have systems in place to set my coaches and my members up for success in doing that. And so Affiliate U has really bridged that gap for us and has given us the opportunity to build in systems into our affiliate in a way that works for us and in a way that puts us in a direction of success and growth for all involved. And that's been really exciting.
Girl. My girl Kate right there, crushing.
Just moved into her new space.
Passion has a shelf life.
Passion has that's a Fern. Fern's got a book coming out. He doesn't know it, but I've just been taking notes on.
And it'll be Jason Ackerman's Lessons of Life, and I'll be like, I feel like those are my words.
You're either dumb or lazy. That's my favorite. That's a Bernie Fernie quote right there.
No, you're either dumb or you don't give a shit, and I can only help you with one.
I still haven't figured out which one. I did go pee, Ryan. Thank you. Hey, let's bring up Brad's question for DT, please, Cody. Could you talk about how you determine rep schemes for general or specific warm-up? Sometimes it's a whole workout if you're doing 21:59 in a warm-up or so many reps with the specific warm-up.
Yeah. Again, it always depends. But for the general warm-up, I'm hesitant to put... I like to give them like on this clock, this is what we're going to do. Because what you don't want is to have, all right, we're going to do 10 calorie on the bike, 8 calorie on the bike, but you've got some people that are a little slower and they just spend their whole time on the bike. So time-based, I like to do. So for 30 seconds, we're going to just work through these reps. But if I am going to do a rep scheme, I'm going to say on a 5-minute clock, work through 5, 10, 15 of this. It's not for time. It's not as fast as you can, but it's for quality. And if it's a 21, 15, 9, the rep scheme is less important. It's more the speed at which they're doing it. So I would make it an emphasis of like, we're doing 21, 15, 9, but this is with a little pause at the bottom, a little pause at the top, or maybe a little tempo on the way down. But also bearing in mind the amount of reps. I don't think 21, 15, 9 is a lot. But if I had a bunch of people where I thought it was, I'd just do 15, 12, 9 or 9, depending on the thing. For the specific warm-up, so for general warm-up, it's generally, how long do I have? What is the requirement?
That's where I was going to go with that I didn't want you to skip over. Is like a lot of that is determined by time domain. Like how much time is available to me will determine what that looks like.
So enough reps that they're going to be able to get warm and enough reps that I'm going to be able to assess in the general warm-up. So typically, you don't want to just do 2 reps or 3 reps or something because it'd be too quick. For specific though, that's a little easier. Really depends on what I'm looking for. So if I'm doing, we'll just keep it simple for barbell first. If I'm doing a clean and I want to go through a deadlift portion, I'll call less reps. It's slower. I can see multiple people kind of moving that bar up the body if they're moving slow. But if it's a deadlift shrug and I'm looking for fast hips into shoulders, I'm going to have to call maybe a few more reps because I got to only look at one person at a time. If I'm doing a squat, I can hold people at the bottom. I don't need as many reps. But gymnastics is a tricky one because you can't hold people in positions as much, like on a pull-up or a bar muscle-up or something like that. So I would tell them what I want them to do. They would do a couple of reps with me where I'm calling the reps, and then I would break them for a minute or 2 to practice that thing, like we do at seminars. So calling it like a seminar style-esque. This is what it is. Do it with me. Go practice. I'll come around and help you out. But it really depends on what I need to see. Is it fast? And it depends on how many people in class. And it depends on what's in their hands. Is it a barbell? Because I don't want them doing 12, 15 reps with me just and go and stand and go. So I'm going to chunk it out. Hey, guys, we're going to do 12 reps total, but we're going to break it into 3 sets of 4. For this set of 4, you're going to be thinking hips, shoulders, right? Second set of 4, fast elbows. Last set of 4, hips back on the landing of a power clean. So I'm telling them what that is.
I want to stay there for a second because this is one that I see a lot with. How long do you think it takes to get that spidey sense of what is the appropriate amount of time to have people in positions or moving before extreme aggravation kicks in? Because that is something that I feel is like it is a honed super skill, and it just, you either get it or you don't. And I'm watching and I'm like, oh, everybody here hates your guts right now, and you're not aware because you had them hold 2 reps too many, like for whatever it was.
Yeah, I don't have an exact time, but I know what's like. I think 30 seconds with some holding in different positions is good. But I'm also okay with being like, you're going to be on this bar for about 90 seconds. It's going to suck, but there's a reason for it. You're going to be holding onto that bar a lot today in the workout. And if this is unmanageable for you right now, we need to make some decisions when we put some weight on. So if there's purpose behind it, I'm okay with it. But if you're just calling reps and they're holding here with the bar at the body and you're like, all right, guys, next progression is, then.
But what you just did right there, again, the subtleties matter, is what I would consider like an advanced tactic of like talking people off of the ledge without talking them off of the ledge, right? What you just did and said, hey guys, we're going to be here for about 90 seconds and this is a struggle for you. We might need to think about the weight. Like you just did a little bit of foreshadowing into the workout for somebody who might have decided they were going to be a dummy today, who's now not going to be a dummy because I dropped that little piece of information in that portion of the specific warm-up. And now I put them over the target instead of them thinking that they're just going to go full ham sandwich on this workout today and blowing themselves up.
Yeah, and the overhead squat is a beautiful expression of that because we all know it's just the hardest movement in the world based on the demand and the flexibility that's required and the accuracy. So even if you just did 5 reps with an empty bar, and you guys know this, but 5 reps with an empty bar, or you hold them at the bottom for 5 seconds, you hold them at the top for 5 seconds. So what is that? A minute of work, let's say, total. They're going to be wanting to come up faster. Their arms might be shaking around. And it should feel hard. And this is what else I say. This should feel hard than the 95, 65 then you're going to put on the bar, because you're forced to move slow and you're going to be held. You're not holding it with the weight. But if this is unmanageable for you right now, we have no business doing that weight, because you can't feel that when we put the clock on and the music on. You're just getting away with it because you're moving so fast. Right now you're connecting. And I think that it's easier with those simpler, slower lifts. A little harder with the dynamic ones, but it's a really great proving grounds. That's what that specific warm-up is. You're proving to yourself you can do it, and you're proving to me you can do it. And I want the best for you. I want you to prove to me you can do it, because I want you to be able to do what you want to do. But I also care enough.
On that note, I want to bring up this one too. So Brad has another good one, because this one, the gymnastics throws people for a loop when they're warming people up and going. It's like specifically like something like a specific warm up. So something as simple as, I'm just going to make this up, Brad. So if this is not what you're thinking, then let us know. But like working through kip swings on the pull-up bar, and I have certain number of athletes that hanging on the pull-up bar for that duration is very challenging. Like, how do you start to manage like rep schemes and time with the more complex that doesn't involve a barbell?
Mm-hmm. Well, if we're talking about the kip swing, first of all, I think, and I don't know, you tell me, Jay, you're the affiliate owner, but I would invest in a bunch of kiddie bars.
We're all affiliate owners, for the record, on this podcast.
I'm the only real affiliate owner.
You're the one that has members.
Just like Denise is the only real level 4 on this call.
But I would, because everybody can do it if they have assistance, right? So you can.
That legitimately might be the most undervalued piece of equipment on Rogue's website.
The kiddie bars. I would have like 20 of them.
I have 10.
I
legitimately have 10 of them.
I'm glad you're validating that, because I think if we want to get people better, because we can't have these low pull-up bars. They're just not. It's not.
They're unsafe.
Wait.
Well, and no one can use them, right? Except the little guy in the corner over there. But
one low pull-up bar per gym, mandatory. 5'6", 5'6".
And I think that just that foot-assisted kip swing is magical, and they can go all day. And they can
box, if you don't have.
You can use a box, but think about how. I mean, classes are getting big. I don't want to pull out 15 boxes.
Right. Logistically, it's a nightmare.
Logistics.
How many of those?
It also.
You got a ton.
He's not paying attention. I just said 10.
He's on his own.
But the other thing is, like, it does at some point. It's like, yes, I want to have those kind of like those scaled options where they're doing some sort of jumping variation potentially. And the beautiful thing about those kiddie bars is all of them can be done from the floor. So you mitigate any safety risk of doing something like that on a box, because I just don't even touch those. Like, I'm not having anybody do anything on a box anymore. Like, you can do a ton of muscle up variations on there and you can, if you have a Rogue rig, like you can adjust them in 2-inch increments versus the boxes like 20, 24, 30. Like, there's a ton of range in there that, like, the thing I like about those bars is, like, I can dial up almost the exact perfect difficulty level for somebody based on what it is I'm trying to do.
They are invaluable. They can be used for so many things, helping with assistance on pistols, inverted rows, push-ups.
Right? Push-ups.
Yep.
Pull-ups.
And so if I was an affiliate owner, and I would I'd go into my gym tomorrow and I would look around, I'd be like, what can I sell so I could get kiddie bars? Like, I would, because that would solve a lot of things for bar muscle-ups.
Or you hire affiliate we will help you generate more revenue. We will talk about an equipment.
There you go.
You don't need to sell anything. You don't need to be selling yourself on the street to buy kiddie bars. We will help you. Cody, pull up that link I just dropped you in the private chat. We're going to put DT to the test, because here's the thing. We can talk forever about lesson plans. Pull that link up. Set it to 30 seconds. She said she can do this in 30 seconds.
Who said that?
You said it, like 30-second answers. I see it in the private chat over
here.
No,
to the question. Oh, are we doing the questions?
Yeah, we're going to rapid fire.
All right, let's go.
Speed round.
Wait, Cody, look at me, Cody. I sent you a nice link. We got a timer up here. All right. I'm going to ask the question while Cody gets his set up. Here we go. Other than stretching or flexibility work, what are some good things to include in a cool down? Start that clock.
Skill work, challenges, little swole sesh, some accessory work, refinement and education. I don't think that's done enough. It's like, hey, well, we're doing this thing. Let's talk about how much sugar we should be consuming a day, and then go away later and have a look. But the refinement is underutilized, and I think it's a really fun time to just have community and kind of, get that swole on with some stuff. So many. But first of all, cool down. If you have time for cool down, that'd be good.
You should be cooling down. Fern, anything to add?
No, I agree with all that. I think it's, I was going to ask this question earlier, but I think it's one of the most poorly utilized blocks of time in most affiliates.
Ooh. Skill work. First thing when fresh or after the workout?
Yes.
Yes, that's the answer I was going to give.
But just to answer, to move on to that, it depends on your current capacity and your goals. If you're brand new, don't be trying things when you're fatigued. Let's have, the brain there. If you're trying to compete and that's something you might have to do, then definitely do it while you're fatigued. But the answer is yes. Properly coached, properly scaled. We can't just have a cake and eat it too. Sometimes we got to do things when we're breathing heavy. So the answer is yes.
Is the skill work about to be used in the workout? Then probably before. Is it something we're going to use later this week? Maybe after.
Yeah.
All right, Cody. What is the benefit of recording scores on the whiteboard? Old school style versus just using your gym's tracking app?
Yep. Well, I like them both, but I started early. Community, accountability, and friendly competition. When I come into a gym, I want to look on the board and see what other people are doing, not just their times, but what they did, RX scaled, because it's going to give me an indication of what I should do. And we take pride in what we do. We work hard for those reps, and it's tradition to CrossFit that we hold ourselves accountable. I also like the apps because it's easier for logging and tracking and keeping things moving.
I love the whiteboard. I think I have a whiteboard here at my affiliate, Best Hour CrossFit. I'm on the top of the leaderboard
every day. I love the whiteboard. It's something true to us. Like, we come together, we meet together, we put our names on, we're saying we're doing this thing together. We come back to the whiteboard and we say we did it together, and you should be proud of that.
I wouldn't, maybe I'm old school, but it would be weird not to interact with the whiteboard, like writing people's names. Like, I feel like that'd be so weird to not write somebody's name on the board.
Even diagrams, like, hey, this is what we want today, this is what we don't want. Just, anyway.
Well, and I also think it's a very simple, we talk about this, I think it's the level 1 programming lecture where it's like, hey, you want to see if your programming is effective? PR's in red today, and you're going to see, cool, all these people that are making progress or not making progress.
People
put away all. Here we go. Question number 5. Put away all equipment after each class and have each class get their own out. 5 a.m. gets it out and 6 p.m. puts it away, or it's on the coach to take care of it. So 3 options.
Yeah.
Each class does it first and last of the day, or the coach does it.
I think that it depends on what the equipment is. If it makes sense to leave like rowers and boxers out, then do that. But I also think that's a culture piece. Coaches should be communicating with each other. Hey, do you want this equipment back? Do you want it in? Let me know. But it depends too. Class sizes, how many people? Is your class back to back, or is there a gap? So there's a little longer answer, but we were always
time's up. Sorry.
No, but I agree, because I think one of the worst things is, like, you have a 7 o'clock class, 2 people show up, there's 16 of everything out, and it's like, now we've got to put everything away. So you have to be aware of.
Well, just on that too, know your culture. It's like, if you know your second to last class is going to be real big, then that class should be putting some away and just leave out what you think you might need. But it's all communication. What shouldn't happen though is assumptions. Oh, they'll do it. Don't worry. Or they'll do it. And maybe the evening class pull out equipment for the morning class the night before if they don't need, to do any cleaning. I think that's on the affiliate owner or whoever's running the show to call those shots.
That's a team thing, I think. And I go back to, like, so we have like the 6 p.m. coach sets up like the big movers, right? If it's bikes, rowers, boxes that need to be pulled out, they might not set them up. Like, some of them they're going to set in place. But some of them are not. Like, boxes might not go exactly where they're going to. They might just go up against the wall, but they're pulled out from their storage spot. And then 6 p.m. coach puts them away. And that's just how the team works. But everything else, I think, is just kind of like, it depends. We typically don't leave barbells out, but like all the big things, like they get staged prior to, for the purposes of efficiency. I don't want to eat 3 minutes pulling equipment out when I can just have it ready and be like, let's go. I'd rather do more coaching.
Yeah. And we're also saying the things that no matter what level you're at, you're going to use, right?
Correct.
No matter what scaling, you're going to need a rower or some box. We can flip it around to 20, 24, 30. You might need a training bar, a 35 or a 45-pound bar, but these are non-negotiable. Hey, on this note, DT, 30-second clock, Cody. Wait for everyone to finish to clean up or clean up when you're done?
That's a 3-second answer.
Yeah, you wait.
Yeah, but it's, Fern, every time I post about this on social media, people bitch and moan.
I'll tell you why.
Okay, give us the final answer. End it right here.
Stop this clock. I don't want this to be cut short.
No clock.
Yeah, stop the clock.
So let me
stop the clock
again. So it's an easy cut because we're gonna cut this.
It's stressful.
I'm gonna make Nate's job easy. Nate or Cody. I mean DT.
Yes.
Fern, are we just naming names? How does this work?
Should members of your affiliate wait to put equipment away until everyone is done with the work?
Okay. My answer is yes, they should wait. However, if the coach is screwing the timeline and these people and they are telling you I will be done on time, they should be putting their equipment away and getting out before the hour. And that's because they're forced to, because we didn't do our job. And I've been guilty of that, where I'm like, guys, we're running short, put your equipment away. It's on me, but it should be programmed enough. I don't think people should put their equipment away. And if you're still in that hour, you've got nowhere to be. And I'm going to take care of everything else. Just, you don't have to go over and clap and yay and get it, but just, yeah.
I think the coach should have to eat that labor, meaning if people got to go, see ya, I'll put your stuff away. If it's the whole class, you're putting the whole class's stuff away. Like that is essentially your punishment for running a really awful timeline.
I agree. The argument is always, well, like my time is valuable. You accounted for an hour.
Yeah,
so
but Jay, I think what's happening is they're not. Maybe ask them how long is left in the hour, because they might be like, there's only 2 minutes left in class.
No, I agree with that sentiment, but it's like, if we're done at 50, as we should be for a cool down, and also I think what goes without saying or should be said is this also assumes scaling is done well, because if scaling isn't done well and there are people that are taking 10 minutes longer than me, that's annoying. But if scaling is done properly and everyone is done within a minute of one another, it shouldn't be a big deal. You're still regaining your breath, your composure. Wait for everyone. Let's clean up together. And then let's move on to the cool down.
Okay, so we'll close. Go ahead. And then
I just want to say, I will say that it is a culture thing, and that needs to be built in from the very beginning, because if you immediately just like stop putting your equipment away, it's like, whoa, so I think it has to be something that's like, that's taught and learned and brought into. I
say it when I'm at new boxes, or I don't coach often at the box. I say it at the beginning, hey guys, we're going to wait for everyone. And I see the look from the OGs, the people that love it, like, yeah, that's what it's all about. Fern, you got the questions? You want to read the next one? I think we're on number 6.
I didn't have that one.
He doesn't know what he's at, Cody.
I didn't have that one.
Cody?
But
he didn't get this email, Cody.
How long are we? No, I got the email. How long are we going to go, Cody?
We got 3 more questions.
Okay. All right, I'll hold off. I want to save mine till the end. It's more important.
Oh, it's the best question. It
is the best question.
Oh, it's better than all your questions. Forgive the 30-year relationship banter here, DT.
I've already forgotten.
Number 6 on here. Preset scales versus scaling for the individual, i.e. this person needs to do ring rows, this person needs to do jumping pull-ups, and this person needs to do pull-up negatives.
Okay, this again is it depends on how long is the workout, what's the complexity, how many athletes do you have in class, what's the equipment that's out there? Because if there's 3 people, I mean, we can customize that to the cows come home. But if you've got 20 people, mixed abilities, boxers, bands, all these things, I'm a big fan of these are your only options today. And I'm going to help you with this in your specific warm-up. If these absolutely do not work for you, come see me. But that's my answer is it's then about logistics. because otherwise you're just trying to satisfy everyone for what reason. People can get better doing just 2 or 3 scaling options for that day. It's just that day. It's not every day. So,
and it should also be relative to the workout, right?
Exactly. It's like, hey, today we're going to work on a little bit more strength of the pull-ups. So for that reason, we're going to do X, we're not going to do a jumper.
Good for the next one, Fern. Can I go?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
After asking for injuries, what is the best way to address the athlete about modifications to be made?
Oh, I reject the question.
Right then on the spot, or after the brief is finished and we are breaking out, begin the general warm-up.
Okay, so we're at the whiteboard. We'll say, hey, if you've got any injuries that are stopping you from doing any of these movements pain-free, here are a few options. We'll throw them out. If you have an injury or a limitation and you need a different modification, come grab me right now after we break, as we're setting up for the general warm-up, and I'll take care of you. So I don't ask anyone to raise their hand and say, I have this, this, and that, but I'm going to make sure that they come find me, or I'm going to be looking for it in the warm-up. Are they grabbing their arm or their hip? And I'm like, what's going on? And I'll get them in the general warm-up. But yeah.
Because a lot of times people are embarrassed to tell you to, or it's private, right? I do think there's some things that we teach in both the level 1 and level 2 that are important, but the actual practical application of it at an affiliate is a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I've done it though too. I've done both, but I'm now leaning towards.
But you're also 10,000 hours in, right? Where like I can spot, hey, that dude's hips bothering him. I should probably talk to him.
Maybe. Well, no, I was going to say like I get this question a lot, and I've seen some scenarios where this doesn't land well with like anybody with injuries. And I'm like, the number of people that are not going to interact with that question is probably the majority. Now you're going to have some people that are like your OGs. They're like, yeah, you know me, I'm old. All my limbs are broken. It's like, okay, Ron, like everybody knows you can't move. Right. I think a more effective strategy for that specifically, instead of like kind of like singling people out in that scenario, is just like, when you're giving your whiteboard brief, run through your kind of predetermined scales like Denise was just talking about, and then let everybody know, like, if you have something else that you need scaled or modified as we work through this, because these aren't going to work for you, come talk to me as we go through the warm-up. You will have 100% of the time somebody come talk to you if they have something going on. But I've seen it with new coaches, like, anybody injured? Anybody? And then it's like long pause, and I'm like, it's weird now. Like you like nobody's answering that question. And
Jay, to that end, also, when I was new at this new gym, people didn't come and even though I said, if you have anything going on, come grab me as we transition here or during the warm up, and they went to the coaches that they knew to start with. Now I'm getting that relationship where they'll come see me. But that, to your point about the general warm up being complacent, that's your opportunity to really hawk it out and be like, why is that person limping? Why is one shoulder a little bit lower than the other, kind of thing?
Why do you not know how to move your body?
You had a good question for DT, you were saying? You had the best question?
I do have the best question. It's actually titled The Best Question.
Which, is it in that email, Cody? Is it in a different email?
No, it's a separate email that you're not on. It's just for Flow Masters.
Good one.
This, because I think this is a great overlap with the scaling that we talked about with EC in this one. So Denise first, Jay second. Denise, what is your acceptable low end to fast end deviation in time across, or we'll use time for scores in a class? When you look at the class and be like, hey, I don't want to see a wider gap than this many minutes between every single person in the class. Do you have something that you look for? I have a number that I look at as like failure if I don't get that number.
Well, it depends on it depends on the workout, because
normal. We're not talking about, so let's, okay, I'm going to box you in a little bit. Sub 20. So we're not going for longer time duration. Okay. No, so I'll give you sub 25. But not anything higher than that, because then that does change the answer, but that's also pretty rare.
So I'm going to say if you're looking for like on the top end to be 25, is that what you're saying?
Or just anything in there, right? So like regardless of anything in between, like call it 5 to 25 minutes, what's your acceptable deviation on fast to slowest? as far as like scores, number of minutes?
Well, yeah. Well, this is really hard for me to answer without knowing what it is, but I'll give it a stab. I think 5-ish minutes,
Okay.
6,
Okay.
maybe, honestly, maybe even, because I have more questions for you about this, so I can give you a better answer.
This is the person that's written too many lesson plans.
So if we're saying,
stumped her, you see this?
Well,
stumped her.
I'm okay with.
Hey, if you want to send your L4 certificate over to Fern, he will accept it.
I didn't tell you this, Denise, but there is a wrong answer here, and you're dangerously close. You're definitely dangerously close.
15. No, I think that when you're getting on that longer end of a workout, you are going to have really fit people that can do it in 17 minutes. Let's say 25 minutes is the top at 17 minutes. That's 17, 18. And I think it's acceptable for your intermediate athletes to be in the struggle bus a little bit and push close to that 25. And I'm not worried about everybody else. So I'm not worried about people because they'll all finish in between. But like, I would be closer to that longer end as an intermediate athlete, because maybe I could do the weight, but it's heavy for me, but I should do it and I'm not resting enough. So the shorter the workout, the more you can like double, triple it. Like a Fran, right? You could go to maybe an 8 minutes, whatever. But I'm not going to double a 17-minute workout for someone. I'm going to say, I think like this 5 to 7 minutes on the longer end is acceptable in my opinion. But the people on the longer end need to be doing it. They should be your RX people that need that challenge.
Just for the record, this was a multiple choice, and you turned it into an essay.
I have so many questions,
this
so I
reminds
can,
me of
the
story, a dog that lost its.
I'm like,
you're how I will tell you. I think so. Obviously, you're where you're getting into the weeds is on the fringes, and those are far less often with regard to programming so meaning like you're not going to program these really short workouts as often, and you're not going to program the really long workouts as often. So if we just say time frame of 8 to 25 minutes, I look at it and I'm like 4 to 5 minute deviation is what I want to see. Anything more than that, I feel like I probably could have dialed them in a little bit tighter.
Essentially what DT said.
Right, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Her gut reaction, your gut reaction of 5, I think,
and it's
I
like
think
the
is
shorter,
appropriate.
And I think you can probably percentage-wise say somewhere like 10%, right? If it's a 4-minute workout, I want everyone in a closer range.
That's too much.
If it's a 20-minute workout, I want everyone. What's that?
Wait, what did EC say? EC's fantastic.
No, I didn't ask you that, but like we were talking about. So, but this bleeds over into the reason I was asking the question is because this bleeds over into scaling and lesson planning. Because when I'm accounting for time, I want to know what my top end time is, but I also don't want to undershoot as well, where like somebody's done 8 minutes before, and now it's a weird vibe, right?
Well, that's
like
when people want to clean up early, right?
Well, we had that workout at our gym today, actually. It was 5 rounds of 30, 24 calorie assault bike, 20 pistols and 5 muscle ups. And
how long is that?
Well, on the fast end, it's like 18 minutes on the fast end. And then on the longer end, it's like 25 minutes. So I tried to shoot get them all around.
Minutes.
Yeah, but I want to get them like around 23. So I told them today's not the day to do all the calories on the assault bike. You're going to be on that thing for 4 minutes around.
But even in that scenario, you gave a deviation of 7, and I would argue like that 7-minute window applies to like you could probably think of the athletes off the top of your head by name, the 2 to 3 that would be either faster or slower there.
There's
bulk of them.
2 people could do that 2 people would do it sub 20. And then everybody else would be like 20, 21, 22, 23.
Right, exactly, which falls into the appropriate window. And that's I'm trying to this is how I always evaluated, like, did I run a good class as far as scaling goes? And that would be factored into my lesson plan. Is like, did I have everybody in a tight window as far as scores? And if I didn't, I'm like, then I messed up something. And it probably could go back in my lesson plan and look at like where that either scaling option was missed or something was missed, if it was a test round or something like that. So that's how I always grade myself at the end of class. I look at the scores and I'm like, ooh, tight. The tighter I can get them, the better.
Well, and I think, GT, I think you are right. The people that are going to be longer, like a workout like that, you have to have muscle ups to be longer. Like I'm a perfect example. I'm going to do 2 at a time. I can do that workout RX, but I'm going to take the 25 minutes.
Then you're going to scale the number, Jay.
Well, yeah, but you, like you said, it's like the people that know we're scaling muscle ups to begin with are not the people where we're going to take too long.
Well, yeah, and to Jay, to your point, Fern, about did you run a good class? I didn't do that very well the day before. It was easy workout, meaning logistically, it was like 20 clean and jerks at 155, 40 bar facing burpee, absolute brute, 2 rounds. And my goal time was like 10 to 15 minutes. And fastest guy was 9:20. And then, but the longest person was like into the 17-minute mark. I failed those people. That they should have been under 15. I didn't scale the burpee, so that for me was, I went back and I'm like, man, I really missed the mark on that today. I don't know how that happened. And which is good, because then you go away and you think about things you didn't think about the day before, and that's how you get better. So you've never made it, because you never know what you're getting day to day and who's coming in and how they're feeling. And the journey just starts all over again every day.
And we'll end this with a James Hobart quote. She's like, listen, everybody messes up a timeline. The question is, do you know why? And you can only know why if you have a lesson plan.
It's a trap.
It's a trap.